And we are live here today on Midweek Motivation Live. This is the show you've all been waiting for. We announced this a couple of weeks ago. We're going to have a special guest today. I am super proud, very pumped to have a new friend of mine, a person I've started reading his books, was introduced to him by a friend, Bob Goshen, in the studio today for Midweek Motivation Live. We're going to be right back with Bob after this. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Good morning, Bob Goshen. How are you today, sir?
Man, I'll tell you what, I'm doing great after seeing that trailer. Woo, I got me pumped there, man. You did a good job on that.
I tell you what, I was talking with my editor when he decided to create that for me. And he said, what kind of music do you want behind it? And they have all of these names in the editing world of the different styles of music. And I said, anything but rap. I'm not a big fan of rap. And he said, okay. And he sent me a bunch of samples. And I loved that one. It was so motivating and uplifting. And he said, yeah, it's called like bossa rap something. And I was like, oh, whatever. Good music. I like that. Well,
makes a big difference.
It sure does. Proud to have you in the studio today, Bob. Bob Goshen, for many of you that don't know anything about Bob, let me introduce you to Bob just a little bit. You know, Bob started out kind of as a spy. I was reading that in some of your bios, was a spy, became a motivational speaker, became a contemporary of guys like Zig Ziglar, probably one of the best motivational speakers of all time. And Bob is carrying on that legacy as well. Super successful businessman, built it all, lost it all, had some tragedies in your life. You've rebuilt it all. And now you're seeing this resurgence in, I think, responsibility to go out and motivate new people. There's a whole new generation of people out there that needs some Bob Goshen in their life.
That's good. Yeah. That's
you like good. That? You like that, Bob? Did I build you up enough?
Yeah. Is that what I wrote, or is that something that came off the top of your head?
Most of it is all in your bios and from what I've read in your books and learning about you. So you like that? I like that. There you go.
I do. That was very good. Thank you, Patrick.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about yourself, other than what I've just said. A little bit of history of Bob Goshen. Where did Bob Goshen come from?
Man, that can be a long story, but when I go in and speak, sometimes I tell people I speak at 276 words a minute with gust of 300. So we're going to get through it in a hurry. I'm a type A. Yeah, I'm a type A, if you know what that is. I don't know if you are one, but the world kind of is messed up because of us. We're the ones that hate people that drive slow in the fast lane. For goodness sakes, pull over, you know.
Can I get a witness?
Yeah. I tell you, it's amazing. But anyway, I was born in a little town called Hominy, Oklahoma. I'm not going to go back very far, but my birth was kind of significant because I was born a blue baby, which means that the umbilical cord's wrapped around your neck and you're not supposed to live. So, you know, I feel very fortunate just coming out of that. Grew up, never knew I was poor, but we were poor. I lived in a 20 by 20 square foot home. You know, it was 400 square feet rather. 2 rooms and a bathroom with a little curtain. And I just progressed in life, and I was always looking. Even in junior high, I was always entrepreneurial. I always wanted to make my own money. I always wanted to have my own life. And so I took that, and I was everything from a janitor to hauling hay to whatever I could do when I was a young man. At age 17, my father was an alcoholic, which I had to live through that for many, many years. And I kind of wanted to get out of the house. So at age 17, I joined the Navy. Oh, anchors away.
Anchors away.
And this old chief came in and signed me up. And of course, you can't get in at 17 unless your father gives you permission. And he was about this quick. Get him out of here. So I was excited about that. I did not know at the time that chief had put me in for a clearance. And it happened to be a top secret cryptographic clearance. Takes a couple of years sometimes to get one of those because they really go in and dig into your background. And so here I am, in a reserve at that point. Finally, in a couple of years, I jump in and I go full time into the Navy, and I was getting ready to catch a swift boat to Vietnam. Was my billet. It's what I was going to be doing, which wasn't too exciting because average life expectancy of a swift boat machine gunner is about 9 seconds. So I'm thinking,
oh my God,
may not be the good deal for me. So all of a sudden I get called out, and I'm called out and said, Goshen, you're supposed to report to Bainbridge, Maryland. I'm going, huh? Bainbridge, Maryland? Yeah. You're going to go to a school up there for encrypting Russian information. And that's how it all started. And what I did in the Navy for several years was to spy upon other agents that were trying to do harm to us and to some of our allies. And then I would, encrypt it and see if it was real or false. So from there, when I got out of the Navy, I was a stud. Ooh, top secret cryptographic, man.
Oh yeah.
And I go to work at, I think it was Boeing, not Boeing, something like Boeing. They made Hound Dog missiles. They sanded Hound Dog missiles and put them under B-52s. Well, I was the sander. And that lasted about 2 weeks. I left, went over to a little place called Sears, put me on as a forklift driver. I was doing great until I put the forks in the side of a refrigerator. Then they moved me out of there. And I just, I don't know, Patrick, I don't know your life, but I don't think any of us really know what we want to do at that age. I mean, we have aspirations, we have dreams. Absolutely. I knew I always wanted to have money so I could take care of myself and not have anybody else. And so eventually I went over I said, okay, I said, sweetheart, we're going to go back to college. I'm going to go to Oklahoma State University, which I did. I walked on as a linebacker there, and it was an exciting trip. Long story short, I got very bored. And I'll be honest with you guys. Hey, I appreciate y'all, love y'all, don't want to make any enemies, but college is worthless for the most part, unless you're in a profession like a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, or something like that. But I've been in during the Vietnam deal, and I didn't really care about philosophy 1111, psychology 222. I mean, it's come on, and they wanted me to pledge.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more.
Yeah, they wanted me to pledge a fraternity. I said, dude, I've already pledged one, and I didn't like it at all. It's called
didn't like that one either.
Yeah. So anyway, after I did meet a professor there that I loved, and it was back then, Patrick, it was called speech.
Yes.
Now today it's called communications.
Right.
And I think Cody went to Oklahoma State. Matter of fact, I believe he's a wrestler at OSU. His name was Dr. Dale Stockton at Oklahoma. You can Google him. And I really, for some reason, Dale just kind of hooked into me. I hooked into him. He knew I was older. I was in the class. I'd come out of the service. And he came up to me one day. It was a class of 300, and I'm sitting on the aisle. And he says, you're bored, aren't you? I said, ooh, man, am I bored? Let me tell you how bored I am. He said, come with me. I said, okay. And Cody, I think he's online today. There was
he's watching now along with multiple other people. Hello, Cody, Pete.
Hey, Cody, baby. Well, Cody, you remember this building? It was right next. It was, I think, the engineering building, I believe. And Dr. Stockton took me over there and walked me up and down the halls on 4 floors. And he was telling me, he said, it was mathematics and engineering building, Patrick. And he said, Bob, these are the greatest minds on this campus. There's no one that's any smarter than these gentlemen and women and ladies. And he said, but the sad thing is most of them will have all this information, but they will never learn how to communicate and how to share and how to grow and leverage on that communication. He said this, you stay with me. Just stay. I don't care if you just come in an audit class. I don't care. Stay with me and I'm going to help you so that you'll learn how to communicate. Well, I did that. And that was my greatest class. Here's a sad thing. And you can Google this. Dr. Dale Stockton went to a convention in Dallas, Texas, after I'd been in a class for probably 2 months, and he was murdered. Somebody went into his hotel room, slit his throat, and killed him for $50.
Tragic.
And as a result of that, I said, I've had enough of this and left. And but he set the seed. He set the seed. Yes. You can control anything if you can learn how to communicate, how to respond to people, how to interact with people. And that was a launching really back then. When I go back, Cody will appreciate this. I keep using his name a lot because he's a good friend, and Gina. And I did not graduate from OSU. I tell everybody I tried for 2 terms. I went there, 2 presidential terms, Kennedy and
Yes.
Johnson, but I just couldn't get out. Uh,
Oh,
but
good humor.
what's neat, Patrick, is uh, all of a sudden I get a call about 4 years ago from Oklahoma State University. I'm going, and they asked me to come in and do an advanced leadership series
Yeah.
for the staff at Oklahoma State University. I went, okay, now you guys know I didn't graduate. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you go. And so that was kind of the epitome. And now today,
Sure.
God's been good, and I serve on 2 major university boards. And you always have to remind them that I'm the least qualified to be on this board. But it's an exciting time. My
Absolutely.
life's been good. There's my yard people, so hang on. He'll come around and zip through here in a second. But it's been a good life. And from there,
Absolutely. They should give you an honorary doctorate just based on your life experiences, right?
yeah, I guess I don't even know what that means. But but from there, I started my own companies. I lost everything in 1975 to this thing called stagflation for you that are old enough.
Yes, sir.
Patrick introduced me. What do I do today on this? And here's where I am in my heart. I'm in my 4th quarter. In college football, you'll see these ball players at the 4th quarter
Yes.
raise 4 fingers. Now that means game on. In other words, we only have so much clock left. Well, I'm in my 4th quarter. Now it's going to be a long 4th quarter, okay? But I'm in my 4th quarter. My heart today is to help people in their 1st, 2nd, and 3rd quarter of life, that they won't have to get caught in some of the traps that I did, and give them precepts, which are concepts that can actually change behavior and project trajectory of a person to make them stronger, because they're going to go through challenges.
They
We
sure
all
will.
So
They
that's
sure
really in a
will.
nutshell. There's a lot of other things in between. I came out of the deal of losing my companies. I lost all of them. 75. We lost our home. We lost our bank account. We lost. It was horrible. That was the worst thing we ever experienced, stagflation, and I hope we never see it again. But I recovered, and then at the same time that happened, I became a Christian. And so I always
Amen.
tell people, behind every pain, God has a purpose. And so
Agreed. Yes.
I look back and I see that purpose now. So
Absolutely. You achieved some levels of success, and that does not come without these challenges. And I like to say on the show, nothing in life is a mistake if you learn from it. Everything is an opportunity. Nothing in life, Ed Milet says, nothing in life happens to you. Everything happens for you. So what are you going to do with what happened? You
yeah.
turned that around and you started writing some books. Some great books that you've used. You've taught the Power of Layered Leadership. I still need to get that one. You've taught on that one for years. I just finished Confident Hope that Cody had given to me, Getting Through What You're Going Through. And you have a new book on the way you were sharing with me. That's a big surprise. Wonderful. But you've taught multiple companies, major corporations. If you guys just Google Bob Goshen, he's talked, spoken, taught the layered leadership for so many companies. And now you've gone through some challenges in your life. Tell us just a little bit about Confident Hope, and the story behind that book, and Grit and Tunnels, and how those can help people in today's day and age.
Well, that's a good thought there. Of course, Power Leader Leadership has been an amazing book for me. It's been a bestseller, and I use that in major corporations, U.S. Army, and a lot of others. And it's just talking how to find leaders in your organization and duplicate them. But the Confident Hope, I was sitting in church one Sunday, my wife and I, and it was a huge church, and they were getting ready to take communion. So they dimmed the lights, and they had these tables all around this massive auditorium. And we were sitting on the first row up in the bleacher type area. And I could see a backdrop. You had the stage lighting in the backdrop, and in front of us was the communion table, and people were walking and getting the cup and bread and moving on to their seat. And I was sitting there, and I just saw this image of people coming to do that, and it was like camels coming to an oasis. And I just kept saying to myself, "This is amazing." all these people in here, including Bob and Kay, have challenges. And
Yes.
all of us are seeking some sort of solution because some of these challenges are major. And that's how I started the book, Confident Hope. I used to think that life was a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. And if you're an entrepreneur, you know
You
exactly
know,
what I'm
sure.
talking about, right?
Absolutely. It's
Oh, man.
brutal.
Oh, it's an exciting life for your wife. It better be strong, bro,
Oh,
or your
yes.
mate. It can be husband too, whatever. But I just started seeing also that instead of being on a roller coaster, I believe, in my belief, it's just my belief, do what you want to believe and whatever. I saw that God put us on a railroad track, and that track's running straight to our death.
Uh-huh.
And on this track, as we're running down this track, we're going to be going through tunnels. And these tunnels can be marital tunnels, financial tunnels, drug and alcohol tunnels. All of these items are going to hit us in the corporate world. We'll have so many different tunnels. Um, and the whole concept is how do you get through the tunnels? But more importantly, how you better get prepared in between the tunnels. See,
Oh,
I
wow.
know another tunnel is coming in our life. It just, God put us here to build resilience and endurance. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I know another tunnel is on its way. I don't look forward to it, whatever, but I'm okay because I know in between the tunnels, my job, your job, everybody watching, your job is to get prepared for that next hit.
Yes.
And that's what the book's all about. And I had a good time. I sold a bunch of the books, but I've given away more than I've probably sold into drug addiction, into
Yeah.
women being beaten and stuff, and some of this sex trafficking, to just let people know, hey, get a grip in life. Get a grip in life. And a grip is simply GRIP. And in the book, I talk about G, number one, God is in control, period. That settles it. And whatever God wants to do, he's going to do. I don't think in the Bible, it says that everything above, everything below, everything seen, everything not seen was developed by him. What? For him. Bam.
Yep.
Mike,
100%.
drop your mic and get on down the road. Okay. So if you have that philosophy, if you have that belief, then you understand God's sovereign, and
Yep.
what comes into your life is destined by him before the foundations of the world. Don't want to get too deep here, but it gets exciting when you understand.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
the book's been good, and I encourage you. You can go on Amazon and get it, and bookstores have it, or you can email me and I'll autograph one and send it to you.
Awesome. I love that very much. It changed my life. I just recently finished it, and Cody and I trade books back and forth. We give it each other. We read a good book, and we'll gift one to each other, or trade them. Read this one next, and this one will change your life. And Confident Hope, I just finished that one, and I really, really enjoyed that book. I'm excited to hear about your next book that's coming up, and we'll talk about your next book, and then we'll talk about your podcast after that, and let people know how to get access to that as well. What have you got coming up?
What do I have coming up?
Your next book.
Oh, okay. I'm going to say what I have coming up. Where do we go? And so many people, they want to retire at 65. I've been around the globe 78 times, and baby, I'm ready for the next 78. My next book is exciting. Over the course of my career on building companies myself and assisting companies, a lot of corporations, organizations would invite me in. I have seen so many things. And one of the things I've viewed is the fact that most organizations and corporations do not really understand corporate culture, meaning they don't know how to get all of their employees on the same page, going the same direction, all in the same sandbox, so to speak, right?
Absolutely.
So this whole book is, how do you do that? I read a Harvard Business Review not too long ago, and it says 2 things you understand with the CEO. Number one, they all believe that they need a good culture. Mm-hmm. No exception. I don't care if a CEO, a pastor, what, they got to have a good culture. Number 2, they don't know how to get their arms around it. I have no idea how to get their arms around it. So I go in a lot of times and I show companies, hey, you want to improve your message, you want to improve your brand, you want to improve. Let's talk about the people that come with you for 8 hours a day and let's find out how we can improve. Are you ready? Their spirit. Because if I
Wow.
can breathe life and you learn how to breathe life
Mhm.
into their spirit, it's unbelievable. I have arguments sometimes with investment people that go in and turn around and all that. And I always have said culture trumps strategy. So this whole
That's
concept that I'm
good.
teaching is how to develop culture, how to get everybody in one vision, one voice based upon values. So I'm excited just talking about it. I may read it. I don't know. We'll see.
You sound your speech level just increased. Your tone went up a little bit. You can tell that you're passionate about this new book. I love that. You can tell, and passion really drives companies, doesn't it? A company with no vision and no passion, I believe, is doomed to failure. Would you agree?
Well, oh, very good, Patrick. You're absolutely correct. I'm getting ready to be in Austin. I leave here in a little bit to speak to a large group of folks. And one of the statements that I'll make is your life must follow its vision. Your life has to follow its vision. And whatever your vision is where your life is going. And
Yes.
they call it a vision. I call it a dream. I call it a dream. I'll be sharing with them Martin Luther King when he was on the footsteps of Washington, D.C. Here was what he said. Do you remember? I have a
Absolutely.
strategic plan.
Yep.
He didn't say that, did he?
No,
He
he
didn't say
did.
I have a strategic plan. He said, I have a dream. I have a dream.
Yes.
What's kept Kay and I alive all these years and still today is we have a dream. We have a dream beyond what we see. I love Kay, belief in faith, believing something
Yes.
is so when it's not so, so it can be so. And we have that dream.
Absolutely.
And when I go into a company, I say that's the first thing that I just do is I help them with is to establish that dream. What's your vision? Where are you going? And they'll tell me, and I'll say it's too small. I don't
Yeah.
care what it is, it's too small because many businesses, many companies, and individuals, they'll get to a level. I just did a podcast on that. They'll get to a level and they'll plateau and they'll decline because they lose the dream. And if you have the dream, you'll have the passion, but you have to have something you can fall back on while you're going through the grit. So,
Oh man.
yeah.
That is so true. I've experienced it firsthand in my real estate career. I got into real estate at 50 years old. It was a life change. I decided I had always wanted to do it. My aunt, my dad's sister, was successful realtor in Oregon, and I always looked up to her because she was the one family member that had money, and we didn't. We had none, and my dad retired for ended his career in the Navy as a corpsman, hospital man, and went to work at the hospital. Retired from there 38 years later. But we, with 5 kids, we were dirt poor, didn't have a lot of money, and my aunt was successful in real estate. So I always enamored her, and I wanted to into a real estate career. But it wasn't until I was turning 50 years old that my wife said, "Are you going to go for it or not?" And I did. I've been in sales. I've been in supermarket management and direct sales, and I went into real estate. And the first 6 months I made about $18,000. This is 10 years ago. But I didn't have to get a loan. I didn't have to go broke. My wife had a great career at the time. But within the next couple of years, God started blessing our business. And I tell everybody, it truly is God family business. When you understand that God is the CEO, the owner, the president of your company, not
True.
you, that God can bless you. And he blesses us to be a blessing to others and develop relationships where that blessing can flow out of. That's how I met Cody and Gina, dear friends. But you can achieve a certain level of success, and then all of a sudden you get the big head, and you start to recede back. Your growth starts to diminish because you start managing what you were growing, and
Yes.
that's it happened to me. I see it happen all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a major, when I go into a company, this last company I went in and turned around, it was a little, well, it wasn't little, it was in a couple of million a month, but
Uh-huh.
by a lot of standards, it was small. And they just couldn't get their people together. And the first thing I do is I'll take the C suite, the CEO, CLO, CMO, all the
Mhm.
hosts, and I put them in a room and I visit with them. And I'll take out a rear view mirror and I'll take out a ball peen hammer. I'll put the mirror in a pillowcase and I take the hammer and I just bust that mirror. And I have them, they just look at me like, this is a strange dude. They ain't seen nothing yet. I have them pass around and every one of them hit that mirror. Every one of them, might be 10 of them, might be 20 of them. It's either their top leadership or their C-suite. Comes back to me and I lay that down and I look at them and say, we'll never look back in the past ever again. Not in this corporation. Not if you want me to help you move forward with precepts that will change your trajectory. If you're spending time talking in the past, then you have no future. So we're going to get after it today, and we're going to talk about the future. Now, we can learn from the past.
Sure.
But if God wanted us to look in the past, he would put an eye right back here in our forehead, and he didn't do that. So I totally understand that. And people spend a lot of time, they get trapped. I did. The only reason I'm relatively good on explaining this is I went through it. I understand it. I've had companies grow and collapse. I've had organizations grow and collapse. I've gone through meltdowns several times, but God is in control. You're going to get through it. And everything you get through, if you'll put down on a piece of paper, you'll see that that was a God point. That was something in your life at that time that God refocused you or redeveloped you. So hang in there, folks, whatever you're going through today.
I love it. I love it. The last thing we want to talk about and give people access to, of course, is your new podcast. You just recently started a new podcast, and super proud of that. I've been watching that as well. And you've got 4 or 5 shows under your belt already.
Man, nothing like you, but hey, I'm a rookie and I'm learning. Okay.
Oh, whatever. Whatever. Tell us about your podcast and how people can find it. And we'll turn all of my viewers on to Bob Goshen followers if they're not already.
Well, okay. Thank you. That, everybody wants to slow down. And into 2023, I said, I read about all these podcasts and everything. And I'm not going to say that I'm not going to be a Joe Rogan, but that is the epitome, right?
Oh yeah.
And, but here's why you want a podcast. Here's why you want a podcast. We have learned things in life that we really, really need to get out there. We've got a generation coming behind us that in many areas, they're totally weak, extremely weak in soft skills and extremely weak in reasoning. Okay. But yet they have this energy, they have this vitality. And if you and I and millions of these other I call them edifying podcasts, will uplift these generations, we can change this nation. My podcast is called The Positive Pragmatic. Positive because I'm a positive person. Now there's, I want to say 96%, maybe 98% of the time I'm positive. I'll have my days.
We'll have a moment. Yeah.
I wish everybody, I'm positive. Well, I am most of the time, but sometimes we got to go to the closet and just scream, and then walk out. Oh, it's a great day. But, you get that. And so I'm a positive person. You can't be negative and can't even think negative if you're around Zig Ziglar. If you remember, one of his statements was, give me a rowboat and tartar sauce and I'll go get that fish, Moby Dick.
That's right.
It was his whole philosophy. So I'm a positive person. But I'm also pragmatic, and I think we need more pragmatic people. Pragmatic people sit back and they make decisions practically.
Yes.
They make decisions based upon data. In other words, you can be positive. Positive to me is not hypey. Positive is, I am going to get through this no matter what it is. So now pragmatically, I've got to figure it out. The first rule I teach, and I'll be teaching this organization, is the very first precept for a business person or person is to accept the reality for where you are. It's really simple.
Hey, there you go.
You cannot defeat what you can't define. You've got to define what you need to do to move forward. So accept that reality. Don't live in it. Don't stay in it, but accept it. When our house burned down 2 years ago, my house burned down. I drug my wife out. We lived. We're excited. We got a new house, better than the old house. You accept that reality. Accept it. So positive pragmatic, I just go in and kind of share 78 years. Hey, guys, in Vietnam, they used to make a statement. If you're going through a minefield, follow someone. You come
That's
back
great.
so much taller.
Yeah, that's great advice. Absolutely. No one wants to be the first guy through, do they?
Right, right.
Where do most people find it? Would they be able to find your podcast?
They can go to YouTube. They can go to Spotify right now. I've got it on those two for different reasons. And I have it on my personal Facebook page, which that's probably where you pick it up.
Yep.
And that's where we are right now. We're testing the water, and this is a whole new genre for me. I've got a guy
Oh, yeah.
flying in that's going to be helping us with all the marketing and management and all this. But my podcast started, if I can finish, by this. I was in my, I used to do lives and whatever on my phone, and I still do occasionally. But I thought, I want a studio. I want a little studio, something that is quality. So it got out of hand. It really got out of hand. And my son is an amazing person that handles the back, the posting, the editing, the music, the color correction, and all that.
Yeah.
And so I rented this nice little facility here, and it's just state of the art. It really is. It's gone to the point that it started with me with a podcast, and a person said, "Hey, I want one of those, and I want it professionally," because we use 3 cameras, high quality cameras, everything. Our backdrop is 8K. Our cameras, some of them are 8K. I mean, it's cinematographic. And people said that. And then I had a Navy SEAL and a Top Gun pilot come in and said, "Hey, I'm writing a book. Will you help me?" And I helped them a little bit, gave them some input. And then they wanted a podcast, and they wanted a walkout on their website, meaning, Patrick, I'm getting a little carried away here, but what most websites do, I used to teach that everybody knows the Constitution, but that's the written word. What they don't have is the spirit of that Constitution. You want to win with people, you got to relate with people today. So we now have helped multiple companies where we'll fly in, we'll put them up on social media, we'll do all that. They don't have to worry about anything, but let people know who you are, just like with you, like with me. So that's my podcast. Come and you'll enjoy it. If not, I enjoy it. And that's the major thing.
That's it. We have all of this inside of us, and we need to get it out. It's therapeutic, isn't it?
Everybody's got a book. Everybody's got a
book. We have a lot of people commenting. Cody, Pete, Gina, my friend Mike Green. Ashley Hope says, "What a handsome and amazing guy."
Well, she's sort of related. That's my beautiful youngest daughter. Here you go, Ashley. She's my most favorite youngest daughter. Well, she'll be coming through the house here any moment, I'm sure.
There you go. I love that. My daughter, Erica, works for me as well, and she edits the show, and she migrates mine out to Buzzsprout, and it hits all the major podcast platforms that way. And this, my real estate office is my studio, and I have this conglomeration of all of my gear on one side of the studio office, and it works out well for me to go I go live on a whim, and I love it. Marlene, my amazing assistant, says this has been awesome. Thank you everyone for coming to the show today. We have, we have the likes and the loves and the shares. The thing that matters the most is the sharing. Share this with all of your family and friends, and let Bob's experience help them as well. If the show has helped you at all, please give us a review on any one of the podcast platforms where you're watching us. Those things happen and really help the show grow. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure and subscribe to the Midweek Motivation Live channel. Click on the link to my digital business card in the comments below this video. You have to do that for social media purposes. Bob, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today. I'm sure this will go down as one of the most popular shows we have had. And we'll continue to watch the podcast. I'm looking forward to your next book. Everyone go check out Positive Pragmatic Podcast with Bob Goshen.
It's been an honor. Have a great day. And everybody, you will make it. You're going to get through that tunnel. Let's go do it together.
I love it. We'll see you later, guys. Bye-bye.